Hi everyone. Today I've got a few bits of news I thought you might find useful if you're planning to travel to Australia, particularly if you're unvaccinated or if you've got any aversion to masks. So I've organised it into 4 issues: masks on flights, public transport, restrictions on flights for unvaccinated, and the cost of flights at the moment. So first issue is masks on flights. Guidance from the government is that you have to wear a mask for any flight going to Australia. And obviously that will be a long haul flight, no matter where you're coming from. And it says if you don't agree to wear a mask, you won't be allowed to check in or board the aircraft. And again, this story underneath from The Independent. Australia, we know in the past week, dropped restrictions for unvaccinated people. We can travel there now, but the masks are remaining on flights, except for under 12s and those with medical exemptions. Okay, so once you get to Australia, having worn a mask on your flight there, all states, I believe, except Northern Territory and Tasmania, still have mandates for masks on public transport. So what I've clipped here is from New South Wales, but it looks like South Australia, Victoria, and the other states have the same kind of guidance. So have to wear a mask on travel in cities and between cities and towns, buses, trains, and so on. This one's ironic. So Qantas CEO Alan Joyce will not let you on a Qantas flight if you're unvaccinated, but he's really pushing for the mask mandate on flights to be dropped. So this is a story from nearly a month ago, and obviously you still have to wear masks on domestic flights. I believe some airlines, particularly leaving Australia, don't make you wear a mask. Depends on the rules in the country it's flying to. Okay, this is a funny one this week. Virgin Australia crew member slammed over anti-mask announcement. Apparently, he was making the announcement about having to wear their mask on board, but encouraged passengers who didn't like that rule to complain to the federal government. So there we go. Next point is about restrictions on unvaccinated people on flights around the world. So be aware, unvaccinated people cannot transit through USA and Canada at the moment. Apparently on flights, particularly in the USA, there's no such thing as transit. You check out and then check back in again for your next flight. So, yeah, and there's no real sign of when this is going to end, but be careful if you're booking a flight to Australia that would transit through the USA, something like London, Los Angeles, Sydney. You will not be able to get on that flight going into the USA. So I wanted to warn you about that. Just same sort of thing here. Be careful of code share flights. So code share is when you might book a flight on British Airways, but because Qantas is in partnership with that, part of the booking may be on a Qantas flight. So just be really careful with booking. If you're unvaccinated, that you are not on Qantas. I believe there's a very few other airlines that mandate the vaccine for passengers. I'm not sure what they are, but I'm talking about traveling to Australia, so Qantas is the big one. Be careful of that. Just really check any flight you book, what the actual airline you're on for each leg. And final thing I wanted to mention is the astronomical cost of flights at the moment to Australia. Now, it will always be more in August because that's Northern Hemisphere holiday time. Not holiday time in Australia. Domestic travel is quite cheap there in August. But I just want to show you flights I was looking at for August. So this top one here, normally around this time of year, if I were flying London to, say, Sydney, I'd be paying between £800 and £900. There'd sometimes be cheaper options, but I'd usually pick an option about that much money. Cheapest I could find for these dates, I just picked some random dates about 3 weeks apart in August. cheapest was 1,493, but that was on United transiting through the USA. So I removed all the options for transiting through USA and Canada, and the prices came up like this. So cheapest over £2,000, and that was Air India on the way out and Sri Lankan Air on the way back. And there's a lot of disruption in Sri Lanka at the moment, by the way. Anyway, and the second option after that, I don't show it was both ways on Air India, which is quite a fast option. I mean, fastest is usually, I think, through Singapore, but that was about 2,100. So everyone, that's how it's looking at the moment. I just wanted to warn you about some of those things you might come up against in planning any trips. And as usual, I'll keep you posted with any developments on travel to Australia, particularly for those of us who are unvaccinated.